sites of our Rabbeim, when the Rebbe would talk about a yard site, he would always reference this teaching of the Alter Rebbe, that this is what happens on the yard site. That the Torah, and the Avodah, and the Omol, all of the work of this tzaddik is in a state of aliyah, of ascendancy, and it comes milmayla lamata and poyel Yeshua's bekerav aretz. It affects Yeshua in this world. And this is, and today is the yard site of the Bala Maimer. He's the one who wrote the book on yard site. He taught us what a yard site is, and taught us what, again, so much of what we learn and what we know, and we learn to see this from whatever we learn from when we're children. So much of that is either directly a quote or a teaching of a teaching, all based on the teachings of the Alter Rebbe, the Bala Yard Site. There's no question that we're Chassidim and we're Talmidim of the Alter Rebbe in the most literal sense. A Chassid learns Tanya. We learn Tanya every single day. It's the only sefer in Chassidus that we learn every single day Chitas. And words won't suffice to say how much a Lubavitcher Chassid is a Chassid of all of our Rabbeim starting from the Alter Rebbe. Well, it's a day of his Yeshua, and his Pel Yeshua's Bekerav Aretz, so the first L'chaim. Everyone has the Yeshuas that we're thinking about that we need for ourselves personally, for our families, for Klal Yisrael and Eretz Yisrael. It's a time, perhaps more than typically, that we're in the need of Yeshua. The Rebbe should give that this day should be a day of Pel Yeshua's Bekerav Aretz in a revealed way, in a simple way, in an obvious way, in Gashmius, and a Ruchnius, a Gula Pratis, and a Gula Klolis. Mashiach Tzidkeinu now. L'chaim. I have a funny memory. It's not funny, especially just funny that I go back to that. It's got to be about 15 years ago. And I have a uncle who unfortunately became famous for not a happy story. And that's my uncle's Reb Shalom Mordechai Rubashkin. And it's got to be about 15 years now that there was a court case here not far in Iowa. And then he was incarcerated for what they said was going to be a 27-year sentence. But immediately they brought him into jail in a place, what's called a holding cell, here in, I think it was in Sioux Falls, if I'm not mistaken. So it was, and this is just where my memory takes over, I went to visit him in jail. And I went many times over the years. He was over 8 years in jail. I went many times to New York to visit him, but later he was in a better condition. This was still in the holding cell, where the conditions aren't good for visiting people. And the first time I visited him was Chav Dalet Teves. And I remember I took a car, and it was a 3-4 hour drive. He didn't even know if I'd be able to get in or not, but I'm going to go. Everything was fresh. He was just put into jail and this, and I was close, Lefi, to people in New York. So I got into a car, and I went, and on the way, I turned on a Farbrengen of the Rebbe Chav Dalet Teves. And I'm pretty sure it was Tafshin Mem Beis, a Farbrengen of Tafshin Mem Beis, 1982. And the whole way that I was talking about this inyan of Peil Yeshua's Bekerav Haaretz, how powerful it is, the yard site of a tzaddik and the yard site of the Alter Rebbe. And the Rebbe, in the way that Rebbe could only do, is explain every word. Yeshua's, and it's talked about Yeshua, and Yeshua is a very high madrega of salvation, and Shin Ayin Hein of Arich, and whatever that means in madregas. And it's Bekerav. I don't remember all the details, and I didn't look it over. And it's Bekerav Haaretz, and Haaretz is Mitzrayim, and Mitzrayim is the lowest of all the lands of the world, so therefore it's Ervas Haaretz. And even there, it's Poyel Yeshua's, and Poyel, there's Pu'ula versus Asiyah. I never really took it apart. I think there was like a 1 hour Sikha, and then continuation, another Sikha. And Poyel, Chassidus says there's Asiyah and Pu'ula, but Pu'ula is further than Asiyah. And Pu'ula, you don't see the Poyel, it's more distant. So how every part of this statement is telling us about how high of a madrega we're talking about, how high of a madrega the tzaddik reaches on the day of his istalkus, which is the day of the shleimus of his avodah, and yet however high that madrega is, it comes around and helps us in our kerav haaretz, in the lowest of situations. Sometimes we feel, sometimes we're like more involved in Torah or in tefillah, but sometimes we're involved in Maisa. And in Maisa, sometimes it's Maisa according to Shulchan Aruch, but sometimes it didn't work out exactly according to Shulchan Aruch. So it gets lower and lower. It's Kerav Haaretz and it's Ervas Haaretz. But in that place of the Kerav Haaretz, of the lowest place, and the lowest situation, there comes the Koyach of the Tzaddik, especially on the day of his Istalkus, and his Poyel Yeshua is Bekerav Haaretz. Tremendous arichus. Maybe this Kedai, maybe this Chavstal Teves, Friday is a good time to have a lot of time to do things. So I'll try to listen a little again. I'll explain to my wife I'm too busy to hearing a Farbrengen for a few hours before Shabbos. We'll see if it works. Good luck with that. It's a time of Nisan. Yeah. Anyhow, so but I remember I came to the cell, I came to the place, and it was again the first time I ever was visiting in a jail. I was accustomed to it, and I was nervous. And I came there, and I thought I had all of my permissions to come there. The Shabbos said, it's not going to work. You can't go in, and they're not necessarily so accommodating. The hotel service there is schwach. And no, you can't do it. Finish. I said, but I called and I my this and that. And I'm a rabbi. They started asking me shalos and basar. No, but they wouldn't let me in. So I sat downstairs. I figured I'm not going to be here. At least I'll write to him what I want to tell him. So I wrote over this Farbrengen. That's how I remember. I said, I asked, can I have some paper? I'll send them a letter. I'll send them that yet. So I said, I'm sitting and I'm writing. And after like 45 minutes, I called his wife, and she called the lawyer called this, and you know what? You can go in, but you can't take the paper because you can't bring anything in. Right? Not just that. I'm trying to think of that visit. I don't think I even saw him. I saw him through a window. It was like this was right in the beginning. I saw through a window, and I talked on the phone on a receiver. So I was giving over the Farbrengen, and I said, I also wrote the Farbrengen. I'll send that to you by mail. Whether I did or not, anyways. So he saw he had to wait, but he saw his Yeshua's Bekar Avaris. We should give. We see Yeshua's Bekar Avaris in every area. But not just his face. He's not afraid to look at something that wasn't said he should. We're coming to Yud Shvat. Chavdal Teves is always, it comes out a few weeks before Yud Shvat, the way the calendar works. And in Yud Shvat we learn the Maimer Basi Legani. It's not the first Basi Legani from the Rebbe, and then the Rebbe's Basi Legani is every year a new Basi Legani. And famously, the Basi Leganis begin with the concept that there were 7 great tzaddikim that brought the Shechina back into this world. Right? That's how the Maimer begins. Basi Legani Achei Sikala, that Hashem says, I've come back into the world. I'm back home. This is my initial home. The Shechina began in this world. But then because of various sins, the Shechina was pushed away from this world step by step, 7 steps. And then came the 7 tzaddikim, starting from Avram Avinu until Moshe Rabbeinu, and Hiridu as Shechina Lamata Baretz. They brought the Shechina back into this world. And Moshe Rabbeinu was the 7th, V'chol Hashvim Chavivim, the 7th are beloved, that they have the job of bringing the Shechina back into this world. And that's how the Maimer of Basi Legani begins. And here we see, and the Rebbe pointed out the tremendous, amazing Hashgacha Pratis, or Nevuah, of the concept that this Maimer Basi Legani is the Maimer for this generation. That the F.R.E.E. Rebbe asked that for the day of his passing, this Maimer be ready and be on the tables and be learned. And therefore the Rebbe saw this Maimer as the spiritual tzavah, a will of the F.R.E.E. Rebbe for our generation. And what does it talk about in this Maimer? The union of Deir Hashvi, the 7th generation. The F.R.E.E. Rebbe's passing brought Lubavitch from the 6th generation to the 7th generation, the Deir Hashvi, our generation. So the Rebbe looked at the Maimer and said, we have in this Maimer the mission statement for the Deir Hashvi. But here the Rebbe made it clear in the Maimer and said it many times, that 7 doesn't start by 7. 7 starts by 1. In order to get to 7, there's 1, and there's 2, and there's 3, and there's 4. It's a cumulative. And from 1, you add 1, 2, 3, you get to 7. And the Rebbe said in the Maimer that the Maila of Shvi is that it's Shvi L'Rishon, that there's a process. We're Chassidim of our Rabbeim. Of course, our Rebbe that we know is the Rebbe. But the Rebbe is a I don't know the right word, accumulation of 7 datas. That starts from the Alter Rebbe. And in the Maimer of Basi Legani, the Rebbe makes that very, very clear. That Moshe Rabbeinu comes from Avram Avinu. And it's a hemshech echod. There's one hemshech, it begins, and that hemshech continues and continues and continues, and becomes Deir Hashvi. And maybe we have to know, we're Chassidim of the Rebbe, and the Rebbe is 7 Rabbeim. The Rebbe contains within himself is the continuation, or as the Rebbe said so many, many times, about every Rebbe. Whenever they talk about the F.R.E.E. Rebbe, the Rebbe Rashab, the Rebbe Marash, they will say that he's a memale mokim from the ones before him. And what does memale mokim mean? That he takes all of the inyanim of the one before him and he continues. And he continues and brings it to the next generation, brings it to the next generation. We have to know the Alter Rebbe, the Mittel Rebbe, the Tzemach Tzedek, the Rebbe Marash, the Rebbe Rashab, the F.R.E.E. Rebbe, our Rebbe. This is our Rebbe. This is the Shivas Kanei HaMeneira, the 7 candles of the Meneira that bring light and bring Chassidus and bring Afat Samayonis to the world and will bring us over the brink to Mashiach to Keinu B'Karav Mamash. And Mela, the days of our Rabbeim are our days. A yard site of our Rabbeim, a birthday of our Rabbeim. These are our dates. They have to be inscribed in our heart, inscribed in our minds. They're special days, they're different days. Some people light a candle by a yard site of every one of the Rabbeim. I'm not here to convince anybody of any minhagim. But it's our Rabbeim. It's our days, it's our Rabbeim. It's our days of Peil Yeshuas B'Karav Haaretz. It's our days that we're mischazik and we receive the brachas of the days, and we connect to the days, and we connect to it by coming to Farbrengen, by learning a Maimer, by learning the Dvar of that Rebbe, taking a Maisa of that Rebbe. And that's the way how we connect, especially to our Rabbeim. That we have such Rabbeim, neshamas, unbelievable neshamas, especially about the Alter Rebbe, the things that it says, in Neshama Chadasha, all the famous things that the Baal Shem Tov said already. There was a new neshama that came special to the world for us, for Klal Yisrael, in order to teach us a new way of serving the Eibishter and the way of Siddur, which is the way of our life. And therefore, it's a very, very special and powerful and great day for us to connect and to strengthen ourselves in our avodas being. Not accustomed to speaking for so long. Keli Ata V'Yedeka Eloika Keli Ata V'Yedeka V'Yedeka Eloika Yagmeka Keli Ata V'Yedeka Keli Ata V'Yedeka Keli Ata Now, I'll share with you, I think, good, experienced professional speakers, if they have a really, really powerful story, they leave it to right at the end, right? At the end, you finish with a knack, with a Gavalika story. But I'm going to go away from that professionalism, and I'll tell you my best Teves story. And then you can leave. I mean, I'm not saying you have to. You heard already what I have to say.
It's a very long story.
No, it's a short story. But it's a great story. The story tells the whole. This story tells the whole story. And it's Ashkocha Pratis that I'm sitting over here next to my friend Rebbe Wolf, because the story that's connected to him. Stami already knows what I'm going to say. Story of his of his wife's great grandfather, right? So the story goes like this. How do I know the story? Because Moshe Wolf, his wife's older sister, is married to my chavrusa, my best friend, if you call it.
We're not going to be tested.
You have to. You definitely does. Moshe Wolf has a wife. This shouldn't be recorded, this stuff.
Delete anything later.
That's so secret.
Okay, yeah. He's saying it's whatever I do. So, and his wife has an older sister, some of the oldest sister. Yeah. And this oldest sister is married to my friend, my chavrusa.
It sounds like a Chaim Dolphin story.
Possibly, because I don't know. And this chavrusa is a very close chavrusa. We were chavrusas for 7 years. We learned together Gemara, and we went on Mivsoim together, and we learned Sidus together, and we never spoke any of the Dvarim together. But this is my friend. His name is Mendel Rubin, and we both got married back at the same time, like about a week apart from each other. And then we both had our first daughter back at the same time, and our second daughter, and then a son. But then already he went off on the daughter's line. We both went our shlichus also within a couple of weeks from each other. I came to a yeshiva. He went to college. Everything was he almost came to yeshiva, and I almost went to college. But the point, I went to yeshiva, and he went to college, and we tried comparing notes for some time, and then it wasn't working. He said, Nasa, you don't understand. He said, the Avedas of your Talmidim are the mitzvahs of mine. But anyway, so he told me this following story. He told it to me a long time ago. And the story is about his wife's grandmother, your wife's grandmother. This is, you remember all the details. Hold on to every detail. So they came out of Russia. Her name was, I think, Bluma Galperin. And she came out of Russia. I think it was 1973, if I remember correctly. Or 1972, 73, one of those years. And then she came to New York and came to the Rebbe to Yechidus. And her father was a famous chassid in Lubavitch. His name was Rabbi Yankel Maskaliker, or he was called Rabbi Yankel Zhoravitzer. And he was known in Tem Chitmimim as the one who really took care of the boys, took care of the Bachrim. He cared about everyone. He was tremendous. He was known for his warmth and his chayis and his Yisrael. And he was from the Chassidim of the Rebbe Rashav's time and the Friedrich Rebbe's time. And he was arrested, like so many Chassidim of the Friedrich Rebbe. He was arrested once, arrested twice, and he ultimately was killed by the Russians, by the communists in jail. He was killed in jail, but the family didn't know. They didn't know when, what, where. And at some point, they got a message that he was killed. They got a message from someone who was there in the jail, another person. They knew he was killed, and he was never heard of again. Forget about a cave or anything like that. This is the Mesiras Nefesh of the Chassidim of the Friedrich Rebbe of that terrible time in communist Russia. So this woman is his daughter. This Bluma Galperin is his daughter, and she knew that her father was killed in jail as a shliach of the Friedrich Rebbe for Yiddishkeit in Russia. She knew all that. And finally, she got out of Russia together with her husband, I believe, and they came to the Rebbe. And they finally made it to the Rebbe's office in the Yechidus, and the Rebbe asked a lot of questions and wanted to know all the details and what was going on in Russia and the community and the yeshivas and so on and so forth. And she was there for a long time. I don't know if it was an hour or more than an hour. And at the end of the Yechidus, she was standing there, and the Rebbe asked, he says, there's something on your heart. I feel that there's something you didn't say that's bothering you. And she was crying. She said, yeah, there's something on my heart that bothers me very, very much. And I didn't say. The Rebbe says, no, what is it? I said like this. So when we finally got the message that my father was killed, so we had a question, what day should we establish as his yard site? By Yidden, we have a yard site, and on that day we say Kaddish for the Neshama. Now, it's okay, you don't have to say Kaddish exactly on that day, but the fact is, that's how we celebrate. We commemorate the yard site, we say Kaddish. So when a person dies, Rahman al-Islam, we don't know a date. So usually a date is designated to say Kaddish for that person. So our family, we didn't know who we should say, what's the date? We had no clue. We didn't even have a ballpark figure. We had no idea. And we asked the Rav in the city. I'm not remembering now his name. Yeah, Zalman Bubber. What's his real name? There's a complicated name. We asked him, and he said to say it on Chof Dalet Teves, the Alter Rebbe's Yahrzeit. And according to my friend, there's like two Girusoyis, if that really came from the Rebbe somehow, or he said it, doesn't matter. The fact is, he said that they should establish the Yahrzeit as Chof Dalet Teves, which is tonight, obviously. The Yahrzeit is Alter Rebbe, and say Kaddish on that day. And that's what we did. In those days, when the Rav said, people listen.
Still the case.
I'm sorry.
Here.
Of course, obviously that's the case. What else? Anyhow, I'm saying also in those days. So we said Kaddish. No. So the Rebbe says, the Rebbe is listening intently to every word she's saying. So what's the problem? So he says, I don't understand. Why the Alter Rebbe is Yahrzeit? After all, my father, he was a Tomim by the Rebbe Rashab. He was a Talmud of the Rebbe Rashab, so maybe the Rebbe Rashab is Yahrzeit. He was a Shliach for the Friedrich Rebbe. And not just a Shliach, he gave his life for it. He died. In his Shlichus, the Friedrich Rebbe. So he had a strong kesher to the Friedrich Rebbe, and a strong kesher to the Rebbe Rashab. And somehow, and the yard site was designated as Chadal Teves. It didn't sit well with her. And that is what was on her heart, that the Rebbe noticed that there's something bothering her. And finally, she said, that's what bothered her. The Rebbe looked at her and says, aber hat doch ausgeführt die Kavone von dem alten Rebbe. He fulfilled the kavanah, the intention, the objective, the goal, the intention of the Alter Rebbe. In other words, the Rebbe said it's the right day. He in his avodah, through what he did, he fulfilled what the Alter Rebbe's intention is. And she got her answer, and she was pacified. In other words, there's a concept of seif maise b'machshava tchila, like we say in L'chadoidi. Or in Lashon of the Maimer in Basel Lagani, that is shvi l'rishon. There was a isgalus of the Alter Rebbe's neshama came into this world to give us Teves Chassidus Chabad, Hafatzas Mayonos Chutza, to bring Mashiach. And it's one hemshech that starts off in the Sefer Tanya and starts off with Alter Rebbe with Chassidus and continues the Mittel Rebbe and the Samach Tzedek. And we today are fulfilling that kavanah that started, that process that began. And Bias Mashiach Zidkenu, that we are entrusted in bringing L'Poel Mamash, and we'll bring it to L'Poel Mamash. It's one hemshech. The truth is, it's one hemshech since Matan Torah. But this stage of bringing Mashiach to Rafatzas Mayanos, like the Baal Shem Tov was told by Mashiach himself, that our Rabbi said that when did that really begin? By the Alter Rebbe after Yitas Kislev. That is an ongoing process, and we are fulfilling that kavanah. Therefore, we're sitting today, Chazal Teves, on Alter Rebbe's day, on the day of Peil Yeshuis Bekarev Aretz, of Kol Maisav Teirosei Vavidosei, and Kol Amole Asher Omalbei. This is our day. This is our connection to where it all began. Everything that we do every day began, and the kavanah was starting from this day. L'chaim, we should also continue, and we also shall Esfirin, like we ever said, Esfirin, the kavanah shall fulfill this intention that was started by the Alter Rebbe. L'chaim. What? I don't remember. It's not a Chazal Tevis. It's a different file. No, I spoke Das ist part of the Rebbe. Chaim Chaim. So Aish Pnimi B'Yeser doesn't need anybody, doesn't need anything. But Aish is not so Pnimi. It's Pnimi, but not the Yeser. He needs some feedback. He needs some. So it's when he says Aish Pnimi B'Yeser, how do you become Aish Pnimi B'Yeser in 5 minutes? That's it. So that's not the game.
Ask Levi.
Which one? Yeah.
Bueno, what, feedback, bueno, base, bueno, más que otro. What's he actually about? I can tell you, he was cooking online, actually staying out. So that's feedback.
You didn't tell me something. So you didn't tell me about the time. I'm going to charge you double. Maybe even triple.
It's better than me. But my feedback.
So once upon a time, I was watching a video of the Rebbe Farbrengen Teves. I actually remember where it was. When it was, not Negeh. It was a cheder. Again, I saw here for videos. So Amo cheder. The cheder wasn't able to bag it. They would show videos of it. For sure, more than 10 years. Yeah. Anyways, the Chaim, Dr. Hech. The Chaim. Dr. Hech, are you 40? You have a license plate? Not a license, not plate, a license. Anyways, the Chaim. Oh, you got that 100%.
You look young.
You look long, but people don't see. It's all. So anyway, so I was watching a Farbrengen of the Rebbe from Teves, one of the years, and the Rebbe is talking about this union. The Rebbe is talking about this union that a tzaddik on his the day of his yahrzeit. So kol amolei asher omal, all of the work of the tzaddik stands in the state of aliyah and peil yeshuas b'kerav oretz. So the Rebbe says, Kol amoloi asher omal, all of the work, all of the effort of the tzaddik. And the Rebbe says, was is der omal from the Alter Rebbe? What's Alter Rebbe's omal? What was his work? And I had a momentary, the mind works. Someone asks a question, right away you think, like, what's he going to say? That's how the mind works. The Rebbe says, so was is amoloi from the Alter Rebbe? What's Alter Rebbe's omal? So where did my mind go? I'm thinking, where's that going to go with this? What's amoloi from Alter Rebbe? Mashiach, Tanya, Alter Rebbe Shechanora. What's the Rebbe going to say? What's amoloi from Alter Rebbe? The Rebbe said, like one, as hanefesh asher osa. The people that he made, the people that he created. And the Rebbe was mamshech. He said, even though the Alter Rebbe has a tremendous amount of Torah, and he's called Shnei Eir, because it's the Eir of Nigel the Torah, and Primis HaTorah. And the Alter Rebbe's Torah is Arucha Me'eretz Mida Rechava Miniyom. The Alter Rebbe's Torah Me'yidmele, Nigla, and Chassidus, and the Shleimus, and everything. And the Alter Rebbe is the Alter Rebbe with all of the haflois and all of the amazing things that it says about the Rebbe. But if it asks the Alter Rebbe, what's Amolei? In what did the Alter Rebbe live more than anything else? It's Hanefesh Asher Osa, the people that he created. He created people, he created Yidden, he created Chassidim. And the Rebbe's life is his people. More than anything else that he did and accomplished and wrote and created is his people. It's a pashto word. It's like an obvious thing that the Rebbe is going to say that, right? But somehow I didn't guess. When I was thinking, even though it was obvious, I didn't know that it was obvious until after I heard it. Somehow I was thinking, Amolei Asher Omal is Tanya. Amolei Asher Omal is Chassidus. Is Yifutz Ma'aseh Chutza. Is Nigla. I don't know. Is whatever being in the Shama Chadosha means. No. Amolei Asher Omal is Hanefesh. That's the Rebbe's lashon. Hanefesh Asher Osa. The people, the Chassidim. In simple words, you and me. What did the Alter Rebbe live for? Not for Tanya, and not for Luk the Torah, and not for Torah, and not for Shulchan Aruch, but for you and me. The Rebbe says, Tzadikim doimim lebeirom. That Tzadikim are like the Eibishter. The Eibishter also has a lot of very important things in this world. And what's the two most important things the Eibishter has in this world? In the whole world, what are the two most important things? So we're thinking, you and me. The Torah and Yidden. Excellent. How do you know? From Rashi, right at the beginning of Bereshit. Beis Reishis. Right? Torah and Yidden. Now, Torah is a pretty big deal. Yes, Shashuyim, Shashuyim Yoim. And it's a Yichud Nifla, and it's the Eibishter's Chachmas Yidden Seiner, Asu Kashur Kul Achat. So Torah is very, very, very close to the Eibishter's heart. But the Rebbe then said, quoted the famous Medrash, at least it's famous to us, because the Rebbe would say it so many times. And he says that there's two inyanim, there's Torah and Yisrael, ve'eni yidei ha'ezem me'en kedem. I don't know. They're both, Beis Reishis, B'shvil ha'Torah, B'shvil Yisrael. B'shvil ha'Torah shenikra Reishis, B'shvil Yisrael shenikra Reishis. The Eibishter has two firsts. He has two things that he's intimately connected to. Torah and Yisrael. Ve'eni yidei ha'ezem me'en kedem. I don't know which is first. She'emer, Teves b'nei Yisrael, Daber's b'nei Yisrael, the Medrash says, look in the Torah. The Torah is for the Yidden. The Torah is for Teves b'nei Yisrael, tell the Yidden, Daber b'nei Yisrael. Ve'emer Yisrael kodem. Yisrael all of b'machshav. Famous word in the Medrash that the Rebbe brings it so many times, that higher than anything else in the whole world to the Eibishter is a Yid. The Rebbe loves Torah. And Anonash and Anoichi, the first word of Torah is Anoichi. That was the first word that was said by Matan Torah is Anoichi. And Anoichi means Anon Nafshik Sovus Yehovus. And Anon Nafshik Sovus Yehovus means that Hashem says that my very essence I am clothed in my Torah. And it's true that the Torah is the Eibusher's essence. The Eibusher's essence is enclosed in there. But the Torah is for the Yidden. And Mamela, what's the first and foremost thing if you tell the Eibusher? There's the people who ask psychology questions to try to figure out a person. So one of the questions they ask, because I'm a big psychologist, so I know, they ask, if you had to be on an island and there was three things that you would take, what are the three things that you would take along with you? What are the three most important things in your life, aside from yourself, obviously?
A boat.
What, a boat? Whatever it is. So, whatever it is. What are the three most important things you would take with you to an island? So if they ask the Eibusher,
Are you kidding? If you brought a boat with you, you might have to leave the island.
That's the point.
That sounds pretty awesome. I got a lounge chair, an endless supply of beer, and pita. I'm pretty good, right? 1 out of 3.
lounge chair, a beer, and right here. That's fun. Okay. So if they ask the Eibusher, what are the three things you would take along to an island? I don't know. But what are two things we do know? Torah and Yisrael. The Eibusher would take Torah and Yisrael, but the Eibusher, if it comes down to it, you have to take only one thing. Eibusher, we can't afford you two things. One thing on the island. Eini Yidei is a man Kedem. I don't know. The Medrash says Eini Yidei. The Medrash says Eini Yidei. It's a good question. At the Eimer, it says Sabes b'nei Yisrael, Dabers b'nei Yisrael. That Yisrael Kedem. The Yidden. And I don't know the dargis and explanations of mashpiyim of how can you be etzem and a higher darga of etzem and mushrish and asmos itself. I don't know any of these things what they mean, but that's what the Medrash says. That at the end of the day, what is the Eibusher? Where is the Eibusher's love and pride and nachas and gishmak is Yidden. And the Eibusher loves Torah and wants Torah, but his essential connection is with the Yidden, above and beyond anything else. Said the Rebbe in Farbrengen, Chov Dalet Teves Tovshin Mem Beis. What is that? 42 years ago. 42 years ago tonight. The Rebbe said, Tzadikim Demim Leberu. The Rebbe has a Tanya. The Rebbe has a Shulchan Aruch. The Rebbe has Memori Chassidus B'liketz. The Rebbe was Megala Torah Chadosha. And obviously, the Rebbe didn't just say Mamorim, he didn't just say Tanya and write Tanya, he didn't say Shulchan Aruch. He invested his life and his essence in it. So much so, like the Chassidische Wort, the word of the Rebbe Rashab, as ich gehe in Himmel, niksovim lo zichaich, the Rebbe Rashab on Beis Nissen and his Stalkus said famously, I'm going to heaven and my writings I'm leaving to you. And as the Rebbe explained so many times, what does that mean? That although I'm going to heaven, I'm still here, because I'm invested in my writings, I'm here. And non nafshik savis yehovis. A Rebbe puts himself into his writings 100%. So the Torah of the Alter Rebbe is his etzem. It's true. And the Torah of the Eibusher is the Eibusher's etzem. And non nafshik savis yehovis. But there's a higher level. There was something that was negayat to the Alter Rebbe more than Sefer Tanya Kadisha, more than Sefer Shulchan Aruch, more than the Mamorim. And what's that? In the words of the Rebbe in F.R.E.E, Hanefesh asher osa. And in our language, it means you and me. You and me and you are negayas al Rebbe more than Tanya. What's the raya? Because he wrote Tanya for you and me. You and me weren't created for Tanya. Tanya was created for you and me. It's a little bit it's a how do you say it's a rash kikavart. It's a what? How do you say? It's a give me a good word in English. It's a chidush.
That's English.
That's not English.
No.
Whatever. It's an unbelievable thing that Rebbe should say such a thing.
It says it in the beginning of Tanya. Tanya is for these people.
Oh, he's right. So Mela the Rebbe said, I'm just going on to that Farbrengen, you're right, you're 100% right. So that was saying Farbrengen. So Mela, what does these bonus have to be on Chavdal Teves? I'm going to see me over what it says. With very little adding. I'm saying what it says that Rebbe said in Farbrengen. So was da sein these bonus Rebbe says, we're coming together Chavdal Teves and we're giving away time for it. And by the Rebbe, time was something very, very, very valuable. Like not just for the Rebbe. As the Rebbe said in Farbrengen, the time is the most valuable thing in the world. Because it's the only thing that if you lose it, you're not getting it back. It's gone. Right? I'm just saying from that Farbrengen. And we're giving time to sit by Farbrengen and Chavdal Teves, Alter Rebbe's yours. Why? Because it's negea. Because Alter Rebbe's yours. So, wegen was da sein these bonus von Chavdal Teves? What are we supposed to think about? Said the Rebbe. Simple. About the thing Asher Omal Boy. What Alter Rebbe's work. And what's Alter Rebbe's work? You and me. So B'meila is bonus to see what's going on with Alter Rebbe's Pa'ulas. What's going on with you and me? How are we doing? How are we doing? How are we making Alter Rebbe's Omal worth it? Proud. That's the bonus of today. We're the Deir Shvi. We're Shvi Larishon. We are the ones, right? Alter Rebbe wrote a Sefer Tanya, when Alter Rebbe was Megalach Sidris, Alter Rebbe came to the world of Neshama Chadasha for us. And we come together on Alter Rebbe's day, we have one thing to think about. How are we doing? How are we doing in the fulfillment of the Kavanah of the Alter Rebbe? Like in that story where the Rebbe told Moshe's great-grandmother, great-grandmother, grandmother, right? He said Moshe's grandmother, as it is geführt, the Kavanah from Malton Redden. So today we sit down, and that's what a Farbrengen Chavdal Teves is. We're Chassidim of Alter Rebbe, we're Chassidim of our Rabbi, we're Chassidim of Deir Shvi Larishon. It's one hemshech, it's one continuation. For us, it was the Gilui of Chassidus. For us, the Alter Rebbe sat in jail. For us, the Mittel Rebbe sat in jail. For us, the Rabbi gave us Chassidus. It was tut sich mit uns. And that's why we sit down to such a Farbrengen. L'chaim, l'chaim.
What are we going to do about it? Yeah, now you have to no more heat. Now you have to, you know what I'm saying? Is that what you're talking about? You can't just, you have to go straight for the kill. You ever do Musser? No. Like, not Musser, like, you know what I'm saying?
You gotta be careful. You don't know who's sitting, who wants to hear what. Who's this?
I'll be around here for 60 years.
I don't know. I don't know.
Ask him. You don't worry at
A lot of things.
No, seriously. So if there's a
We tell them me. If I see this, how it happens.
if you in your role right now, is it better for everyone else or
It's a good question. I don't know the answer.
really?
I think one of the hardest.
It would be better if he said more than that. I'm serious. I'm asking. He said it would be better for everyone else. If he said more than that.
2 seconds.
I'm just saying if it's better if I don't. I would. It's better.
Because for you, it's better if you don't say this.
Yeah, I say no more before.
You see how much
I would.
glass?
I just wish that they did it all together.
I agree. It's
Watching, I think I have to do
it's
that.
a terrible. It's a terrible setup. Fail.
That's it. We're gonna switch it.
No, we're gonna switch it.
Maybe switch.
Hello. You're performing.
What do you do?
Put these together. Put these. This.
Let's switch plan this before we do
Just leave everything the way it is.
Get Kiva go to the ball. Because Kiva wanted to sit in the back so we could talk. Kiva wouldn't come up here because he wanted to talk. No, I think just make one big for everyone.
Leave it.
Turn this
No.
on this.
Leave it.
Me and Charlie walked city. It was the most bizarre. In his building. Are there things you wish you could say you just don't want to say?
Got an article on
Oh, you do it. Why?
She's basically
Why?
my son.
Milo.
So stupid.
What?
So stupid. Leave everything. What's the problem? It's so stupid. I've never seen anything more stupid in my
Yeah,
life.
I know about it because I know a person involved with it gets stuck.
It's good. Well, what's the problem? What problem was solved by movie theater? Did you answer me?
Everyone can see there's monkeys. Come close.
Oh, very good.
What, it's like Farbrengen.
Who is that?
F.R.E.E.
Competition.
Yeah. No.
I've never seen anything.
I asked Mendel for you. I saw your Mendel there.
Yeah.
I told him he has to remember everything that was said in order to give it over to you.
Okay, Mendel, do you remember everything? You remember everything?
You're good where you are.
He's ready. He's ready for my sister. What happened? How did I lose you?
I don't know. If you let me have it.
What?
Let me have it.
Yeah. That's what I'm looking for. I feel more at home. Do me a favor. Get me a hayonyon. A hayonyon. Thank you. Okay. How do you find everything on the telephone? First, I'm not on the telephone already. You have a telephone? Yeah. Find everything? Called Bay's ear.
Mr. Aron, do you need to get out? Are you looking for an exit?
No!
You did this whole thing, this purpose.
I'm looking for books here. It's just clear people, don't know me. Every conversation we've had is like this.
Yeah. Okay, l'chaim.
We changed my simulation system.
What's this?
We just changed my simulation system.
Brüssel. Nice, absolutely. Good Friday.
Chaim.
Ansonsten mit der Farbrengen der Shabbos und
Aye, mach a call, aye.
my smoke is that next to me. Say something. No. If you make a mistake, I'll correct you. He wasn't joking. Anyways, Yishakaya. So I want to read a Hayom about today. Today, as we know, as we said, we gathered here together. Lukovid, the Alter Rebbe's Yortzeit.
Was today or yesterday?
It's tonight and tomorrow.
Okay, good.
So the Rebbe says, "Na Yom of Chof Beis Iyar."
Okay.
The Rebbe says the following: Pam achas hisvadu chsidim harishonim. There was one time there was a Farbrengen of the early chsidim. Shnas Tovkuf Mem Daled, Tovkuf Mem Zayin. It was one of those years, 1784 through 87. The Teichen Sichosam Hoya, and the Teichen, the content of the conversation was the following: the Rebbe, Rabbeinu Azokia, the Alter Rebbe hat aufgetan, was man is nicht erlernt. The Alter Rebbe has accomplished the novel accomplishment of the Alter Rebbe. That we're not alone, we're not lonely. Amal is the Rebbe, the Rosh Mesifte und Goyen gewen Elend, und die Talmidim seinen gewen Elend. At one time, the master, the Sheshiva, the Talmudic sage, was alone, and his disciples were alone. Der Derech Achsidis was the Rebbe at Miyasid gewen is, der größer Gettlicher Uftu. The Chassidish way that Alter Rebbe instituted is the tremendous divine achievement. Was the Rebbe is not elend, and Chassidim seinen nicht elend. The Rebbe is not alone, nor are the Chassidim alone. That's what the Rebbe chose to put in Hayom Yom from a Sikha, the Friedrich Rebbe, Achov Beis Iyar. What was the great accomplishment of the Alter Rebbe? The Rebbe at Ufketer. The accomplishment of the Alter Rebbe is, the accomplishment later says, the Derech Achsidis, that the Rebbe was Miyasid, is the great godly novelty. That the Rebbe is not lonely and Chassidim are not lonely. That there's a connection of Chassidim and the Rebbe. An amazing concept, an amazing Hayom Yom. Alone. Elend. I don't know. In this,
Elend is lonely.
In the English translation of the Hayom, it's translated as alone, and for some reason I think a better translation is lonely. But who am I to argue? Right. Elend. I think Elend means lonely. That's what I think. But I could be wrong. It has happened historically.
Right.
Very infrequently. Anyway, l'chaim.
I'm right to that was lonely.
He says lonely?
He's shaking his head.
Elend meant was lonely. As it does. This I don't know because we're sitting. So how would I know? This I also don't know because it was maybe I do know. Exactly. Because it was translated in our room in Cheder in Mem Zayin. That's why. Because I finished Megalas. It was done in our classroom with Rabbi Garar. Anyways. I think that this Hayom Yom follows very much the concept that we've been talking about of the Sikha of the Rebbe and Tovshin Mem Beis of Chov Dalet Teves. What's Amoloi Asher Omal? What is the Alter Rebbe's toil? What does the Alter Rebbe live for? The Alter Rebbe lives for Chassidim, a Nefesh Asher Asa for Klal Yisrael, for Eden. And that's the story of our Rabbeim. Our Rabbeim were so totally devoted and dedicated to Chassidim and to Yidden, and that was their whole life, above everything else. To create Yidden and give them chayis and gashmias and give them chayis and ruchnias and ateva tana Yidden. There was a connection. There was a isachdus. The Rebbe lived and lives for his Chassidim, for the Yidden. And that created a connection. The Rebbe didn't live for his greatness and for his ge'enes and for his Sfarim and for his everything, that the greatness and the ge'enes and the tzidkes of the Rabbeim is beligvul. But that wasn't what they were about. That was like a side part. What they were was a Rebbe for a chassid. They were in ganzen übergegeben, devoted for the Chassidim. And the Chassidim felt that and connected. And there was a reciprocal relationship from Rebbe to Chassid and Chassid to Rebbe. And that's what Yom says. The great getliche uftu, the great divine accomplishment, the novelty, that a simple Yid, a regular Yid, like it says in Chassidus, the Raglayim, right? It says that there's Moshe Rabbeinu was the Rosh, and a regular Yid is a regel. Moshe Rabbeinu says, Sheish Meis Elef Ragli ha'om asher anochi bekirboy. Moshe Rabbeinu tells Hashem, there's 600,000 people here, but he calls them ragli, regel. And every word in Torah is exact. And see, this explains that Moshe Rabbeinu is the head neshama, and there's a lot of raglayim, feet neshamas, especially in Ikvis in the Mashiach, a lot of feet. But it's a head and a foot of the same body. And the head leads the foot, and the foot takes the head where the head has to go. And there's a union, there's a connection, there's a relationship. And that relationship is the chayis, the emes chayis of the Rebbe and of our Rabbeim above and beyond anything else. I feel I'm just being repetitious. I'm trying to explain to myself this concept. And it's a drastic difference in the Derech HaChassidus and other drochim. I remember once seeing, and I don't remember who wrote this letter or article, that someone says that they met with a lot of Gdei Yisrael. And they met with Lubavitcher Rebbe also. And I don't remember who it was. I think this is like a, you know what I'm talking about? I think Eretz Yisrael, like a Fruma, Eretz Yisrael, maybe I should go to Shiva, I don't know. He says he met with a lot of the Gdei. And he met the Rebbe. And he said he noticed an interesting difference. He says he walked into every one of the Gdelim, and what did he see? The person was sitting there at the table, and he was sitting with his Gemara, sitting with his Shulchan Aruch, and he came in, and the person closed it, and he spoke to him. He came to the Rebbe, there was nothing on the table. So the Rebbe was there for him. He says he came everywhere else, he felt that the person is really, his aim is to learn Torah, believe fully. He's a godel, that's what he does for a living. But he's going to put it aside and talk to him. He will talk to him. But he felt there was a closing of a sefer for him. So there was no svarim. I'm here for you. You ever saw this? Not a Lubavitcher. He said he felt that difference. The Rebbe wasn't about his Torah, and he made time for you. Huh? The Rebbe wasn't about his Torah and look at the Siches and the Memorim and this, and he made time for a Yid because this Mitzvah Rabbi Yisrael, he had to make time for a Yid. The Rebbe was about a Yid. And that's the story of our Rabbi. And that's what the Rebbe said in Tafshin, in that Farbrengen that we're considering over here, that what's Amoloi Asher Omol Bey. That the Rebbe writes in Tanya that on a person's, on Sadek's Yortzeit is Omol Asher Omol Bey is an Aliyah, and his parents should take care of others. His Omol Asher Omol Bey is Hanefesh Asher Osa is the people. That's his etzem. That's his essence. And I'm sorry for being repetitious. And therefore, the Rebbe says that what's our avodah on Chavdal Teves? To think, was tut sich mit sein Omol? What's going on with Alter Rebbe's Omol? Alter Rebbe lives for me. And Alter Rebbe is Megala Torah for me. And Alter Rebbe gives Chassidus and Tanya. And Alter Rebbe is the Mittel Rebbe. The Mittel Rebbe is the Samach Tzedek. And the Tzedek is the Rebbe Marash. And the Rebbe Rashab, and the Friedrich Rebbe, and the Rebbe, and all of our Rebbeim. That's Etzem Echod, the Moir. They're here for me and for you. So what's doing with this Omol? How How's their amal doing? How's their effort doing? And what are we doing for them? And that, the Rebbe says, is the avodah of Chabad Teves. The avodah of sitting by a Farbrengen and talking about our Rabbeim is talking about what our Rabbeim care about most. And that's us. So what's going on? Who helped them? L'chaim. This Inyan that the Rabbeim and the Rabbeim are for us and connected to us, and they don't have their own little world or big world and also us. But that's what the Rabbeim are here for us. This is seen in so many stories, but I want to say one nekuda. And that is the Alter Rebbe starts off Tanya, and he writes a Hakdama to Tanya. What's the Alter Rebbe's Hakdama to Tanya? It's a very interesting Hakdama. What's the toichin, what's the content of most of the Hakdama of Tanya? Why you shouldn't write it? Why it's a bad idea.
Exactly.
Why is Tanya? Because the Alter Rebbe says the Chassidim aren't going to want Tanya. They're not going to be happy with Tanya. And why not? Because they want personal attention. They don't want a sefer. You have to remember, we're used to Sfarim. Tanya was the first sefer. There was no Sfarim before Tanya, the Chassidus. In Chassidus, there was no Sfarim. Rabbi didn't write Sfarim, Baal Shem Tov didn't write Sfarim, the Maggid didn't write Sfarim. We have some writings that people wrote from the Baal Shem Tov, from the Maggid. The Rabbi didn't write. They taught, and they inspired, and they guided. They didn't write Sfarim. And now the Rebbe says, I know that the Chassidim are going to be anti-Sfarim. They don't want Sfarim. Because they want personal guidance, they want personal attention. And they feel, and they rightfully will feel, that when they're going to learn a sefer, they're not going to get their personal attention, because, as he explains so beautifully, the Alter Rebbe, as only the Alter Rebbe could, Ba'arichus, that in they say Shabbos, and a person reads something, everyone reads based on their prejudice, the way they understand, the way they feel, and whatever. It's one book for 1 million people, and everyone's different. Everyone needs a different piece of advice. So the Alter Rebbe builds, for the majority of the Hakdama to Tanya, a very, very powerful argument against writing Tanya. But then he says, but he did write it. Why did he write it? What's the answer? So he says an amazing thing, but that you have to be a maimin to accept. The question is, I'm sorry, the question is more logically built than the answer. The answer is, I'm talking to friends. I'm talking to good friends. I know them, they know me, and I'm writing to them the answers that they need to hear. It's not a sefer. The Alter Rebbe says in the Hakdama of Tanya that Tanya is not a book. I wrote a book. I thought of a lot of good wisdom and good, beautiful ideas and beautiful biurim and gemuras and midrashim and Marei Chazal. It's a wonderful book. You want to do a thesis on tzaddikim and rishonim? Read Tanya. But the Rebbe says Tanya is not a book. It was never meant to be a book. It's personal. It's a personal conversation that I'm having with people who I know. They know me and I know them, and I'm writing them their answers to their questions. And therefore, if you look, you'll find the answer to your question.
And it was the first Torah book like that.
And it was the first Torah book like that. Exactly. Then the Alter Rebbe says, but what if a person will read through the book cover to cover and he won't find the answer to his question? Oh, see, you have to be careful what you ask for your second. Alter Rebbe says, what if a person will read the book and he won't find the answers? So no problem. So there's other books on the market. That's not what he said. What does he say? He says, if you read the book, you don't find the answers. No problem. So go talk to Mashpia. Simple words, and he'll find you the answer. But Alter Rebbe didn't entertain the concept that maybe the answer is not there. It's a chakel. There's hundreds of thousands of people that can read the sefer, and maybe one person has a complicated question, and his answer is not going to be. It's not shaykh. Alter Rebbe says no, it's not shaykh. That's what he says. He doesn't say okay. You don't find, so look it up in Rishis Chacham. There's other Sfarim. No. You don't understand. You didn't find your answer. No problem. Ask someone who's a little older, a little wiser. He'll find you the answer. But it's there. Dr. Rebbe, with all of his humility, so humble that what does he call the book? I'm just a Lakuti Amarim. I'm just giving you over some stuff that I heard from my teachers. But in this stuff that I heard from my teachers, you have every answer to every question that you're ever going to have. And I'm writing it to you as someone who I know, someone who knows me, and I know you, and we've talked, and we have an open communication. So I'm writing you this answer. That's Tanya. And if that's Tanya, that's Chassidus. Because the whole Chassidus is an extension of Tanya. As we know, the Rebbe would also say Tanya is Teres Shebeksav of Chassidus. And all of Chassidus is an extension, a continuation, just like Teres Shebal-Peh, but Teres Shebeksav. In other words, what's a Maimer? And what's a Sicha? And what's a letter of the Rebbe? Not a general expression of knowledge and brilliance and ge'enes and Kabbalah of Rabbeim or Tzadikim and Ge'enim. That's not Chassidus. Chassidus is a Rebbe talking to a Chassid and helping him. And talking to him. Chassidus that the Rebbe started is a conversation of a Rebbe and a Chassid. And it says, B'chlal, it says, that when you're learning Torah, Balashmua, what's the name? Balashmua, Amy Kenegde, that you think about the Balashmua. That says B'chlal B'Torah. But by Chassidus, it says, Chassidus is B'yedei Makirei Kamino. It's a Rebbe to a Chassid. It's not a field of knowledge. A lot of knowledge, Torah knowledge, holy knowledge, Kabbalah knowledge, Chassidus knowledge. It's Rabbeim talking to Chassidus. And really, when we learn our Sikha, we learn our letter, learn our mind, we have to understand the Rebbe is talking to me in this Perek time. The Rebbe is talking to me in this Sikha. The Rebbe is talking to me in this letter. And we have to find it, and we have to feel it, and we have to feel that we're not errant, we're not lonely. I have a Rebbe who's my best friend. And he's talking to me. And he's telling me Dvar Hashem. And he's telling me amazing concepts that sometimes are way out and very high and very lofty, but he's telling me to help me be a Yid, to help me in my Avodas Hashem. As the pasuk that the Rebbe was so many times mentioned, Das Elekei Avicha v'avdehu b'leiv Avshalom. That all of the Chassidus is a lot of Das Elekei Avicha. There's so much knowledge and so much depth and so much. Sometimes we read things and it's so far off and so far out and so high. But it's v'avdehu b'leiv Avshalom. It's to help me in my Avodas Hashem and my struggles and my battles and my fallings and my downs and my ups. And it's the big Rebbe, the Reish B'nai Yisrael, the Reish, that's talking to me, and he wants to know me, and he knows me, and he's talking to me with my name. The Maimer has my name on it. And when I read it, I have to learn it. Sometimes it's more evident and so more clear how this Maimer has my name on it, and sometimes it takes a little more effort. But ultimately, when we learn something in Chassidus, we have to ask ourselves, so what is he telling me? Aside from the beautiful information I picked up, what is it telling me? Because it's not an abstract concept. And if you want to learn it, get to know me. It's B'yedei Makirei Kamino. The whole Tanya, the foundation book of Sefer of Chassidus is for Kikare V'lach Adavar Meid. I want to tell you how to serve the Eibishter. I want to tell you how to be a Yid. It's not abstract. Chassidus is not allowed to be abstract. Really, the Rebbe tells us Torah b'chlal, Torah melashon hira, Torah's chayim hira b'chayim. Everything is a lesson and a teaching. That's in general, but especially Chassidus. It's not abstract. It's practical, and it's not said in a vacuum. It's from a Rebbe to a Chassid. Chassidus is said from a Rebbe to a Chassid. And Memela, that's why we so celebrate our Rabbeim. It's our Rebbe's Yortzeit today. So it's a special. We can't just go to sleep. We have to do something. We don't know what to do, but it's our Rebbe's Yortzeit. What's Nikkei our Rebbe's Yortzeit? We learn his Chassidus. We learn his Torah's Geshmak. Because Chassidus is not about Torah. It's about a Rebbe teaching me Torah. When a Yid sits down and learns Chitas and learns the Perek Tanya of the day, or a Yid learns a Sicha, or he learns a Ma'amad Rebbe Rasha, whatever it is, it's a Iskashrus, it's a Kesher, there's a Rebbe, there's a Chassid, and the Rebbe is teaching the Chassid learns from the Rebbe, and there's a Yechidus. And that's why our Rabbeim are a central, integral part of our Chassidus. Chassidus is not books. Chassidus is Rabbeim. On the bookshelf, you look behind you, and I'm looking in front of you, there's a lot of books on the shelf. There's not of books. It's a bunch of Rabbeim on the shelf. It's 7 Rabbeim, not a bunch. The 7 Rabbeim who live through their books. They talk to us from their books. They meet us in their books. But it's Rabbi. And that's why by Chassidim, Chov Dal Teves is part of Chassidus. So like, I learned Tanya, so it's Chov Dal Teves, I do Dal Teves favor, I'll come to Farbrengen in his honor. Chov Dal Teves, I live with Chov Dal Teves. I live with Tes Kislev. I live with Beis Nissen. Because I learn, because the Rebbe Rashab talks to me. What is this? What did I say? Apart from the Rebbe says, when a chassid learns a maimer, so the Rebbe Friedrich Nasicha, as we learned a maimer chassidus, is the Baal HaMaimer in Gan Eden hears as jener at gelernt sein chassidus, not from the Nachas Ruach. It's a connection. It's a connection. I'm sure on some level, when we're learning Gemara about Rish Lakish and about Abai Rava, or Hunabri Yeshua, about Marbar Ravashi, I'm sure on some level there's a connection there also.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm sure. I don't know exactly what happens and how, but there's no. I have no doubt. But I don't know, and how to explain the differences. I'll have a wiser person will explain the differences. But somehow by Chassidus, that's 100 times more. It's our Rabbi, and it's their Chassidus, and it's these conversations. The Yeda Yumakira Koamino is the foundation of Chassidus. Tanya is Teresh B'Sav of Chassidus. And Al Rebbe starts off Tanya by saying, you should know, this is not a book. Chassidus is not a book. It wasn't meant to be a book. It's never meant to be a book. Chassidus is a conversation. There's a Rebbe, and there's a Chassid. And there's 7 Rebbe. All those Rabbeim, one leads into the other, and it's Malam Ekeme, and the Rebbe talks to us the words of the Alter Rebbe, and the Rebbe talks to us the words of the Mittel Rebbe, the Rebbe Tzedek, the Rebbe Marash, the Rebbe Rashab, and we are the luckiest people in the world. We have our Rabbeim that live with us, and we live with them, and we're not lonely, and they're not lonely. There's an ongoing relationship. And really on such a day of a Yom Tov of our Rabbeim, when all of our Rabbeim come together, a day of Simcha, a day of Aliyah, a day of Bracha. It's a day of us connecting and strengthening our connection with our Rabbeim and making them prouder of us through being meisif in our connection to them, and meisif in our learning what they have to tell us, and meisif with our applying to ourselves what they have to tell us. L'chaim to our Rabbeim.
Shuva, Shema Seveino, Chema Lavotecha, Saveino Vapoiker V'nismecha b'chol yom Neveinu, Shuva, Shema Seveino,
Or you say you're not saying? Don't say more than.
I always say. That's amazing.
The frying.
That was nice you walked in. Very nice you walked in.
Rabbi Notik, what's up? Michiel, Chaim. Chaim. Balshant and Magid were Edel. Akash. I don't know the answer. So I'll put it on the list of kashas I don't know the answer. The Baal Shem Tov and the Magid were Edel. That's the Chiddush Lat Rebbe. Put the kasha.
Get the speech, we're on the back. Get learned together.
Chaim. Daniel. Chaim.
You're not going to say the Chaim, no one else.
I'm saying Chaim all the time.
Chaim. Same together. Levi. Good call.
Still a good call.
Good call.
Okay, I'll say on myself. That definitely works, right? Anybody who heard me talk once or twice probably heard this from me already. But maybe I'll chash that maybe there's someone who didn't hear or was sleeping at that time. When he was talking the mice.
By stories you don't sleep.
And I think that this mice is the mice that really depicts and brings out what we're saying over here. Mine's a personal story. So I have a special schus. In the summers for many, many years, I go to Eretz Yisrael. So it was, I think, 6 years ago in the summer, and it was a Friday afternoon. I was on Yerushalayim, because even though in the summer, Derech Kol it's fast, but we had a Shabbaton in Yerushalayim with the seminary that I teach in. And it was Friday afternoon. And went out, I took my tefillin and I went to the street to do some ifsoin. No, Lubavitcher guy, Friday afternoon. It's definitely easier than helping in the house. So whatever, so I went to the street, I took a tefillin.
You say, excuse me, are you Jewish?
So in Israel, you don't say, that's the big mile in Israel, you don't. You just say, Adoni, tefillin. But it happens to be that on that particular street where I was in Yerushalayim, it was a street, there's a lot of non-Jews, actually. And it wasn't a successful afternoon. I was meeting a lot of people that weren't Jewish. I was in front of a big building called the YMCA. It's on Rehov HaMelech Shlomo, across the King Solomon, across the King David Hotel, near the King Solomon Hotel. Anyhow, it wasn't going so well. But then I saw a guy walking down the street, middle-aged man, curly hair, and he had a big musical instrument strapped to his back. I think it's cello. And I asked him, Adoni, אתה רוצה להניח תפילין? This is Ken. Ken? Good. Okay, we went to the side of the street. He took down his cello and put on tefillin with him. And as we're putting on tefillin, he starts crying. But not stop crying. He was crying. He was crying his heart out. And it's a little bit, awkward. He's standing there on the side. When he calmed down a little bit, I asked him, Makara, what's going on? He says like this. He says, Harav, tafasta oti bizman kashe biyoter b'chayai. You caught me in a very difficult time in my life. Isha, parnasa, yiladim, from all sides, it's a difficult time that I'm going through. עד שאתמול בלילה ישבתי עם חברים ואמרתי שאני חושב שאפילו הרבי מלובביץ' שכח עליי. So last night I was sitting with friends. I said, everything is going wrong. I think even Lubavitch Rebbe forgot about me. עכשיו, בבוקר, מגיע שליח מהרבי, אז זה אומר שהוא אומר שלא שכח עליי. ולכן אני מתרגש. He says, last night I was thinking I'm all depressed, even Lubavitch Rebbe forgot about me. Now it came in the morning, a shliach of the Rebbe comes and asks me to put on film. That means the Rebbe sending me a message. He didn't forget about me. That's why I'm so emotional. That's what this person said. His name was Ofer. So I asked Ofer, maybe we'll take a picture of you wearing tefillin. So he says, "Vatmunat atikach la'Rabbi." You'll bring the picture to the Rebbe. I said, yeah. So we'll go to the oil. I'll bring you a picture. He says, "Tov, ken avol shetireh et tefillin, sheireh shani maniach tefillin." He's an interesting individual, this Ofer. I still have a kasha with him until today. Very, very spiritual person. Not in the typical way. He's not the Vaila Hashem Torah mitzvahs. Anyways, I asked him, I said, אתה מדבר על הרב, אתה נפגשת פעם עם הרב? Like, you're so connected. Here you're down, so you think the Rebbe forgot about you and you're sad. Did you meet, how do you know the Rebbe? You met the Rebbe, Amo? I said, no. He says, what's my kasha? Kasha is the following. Listen, he says, I had a father. My father was a professor in Penn State University. My father died. I went to America to take care of his things, take care of his belongings. And amongst his things, I saw in his bookshelf a sefer katan, zenikra Tanya. As itchalti likro. That's one of the things, one of the milas an Israeli has. He knows Hebrew. He can just read Tanya. It makes sense because it's the right language. התחלתי לקרוא וקראתי. I read. It says, אז התחלתי להבין שאני לא צדיק. וגם אפילו לא בינוני. He said, I started on it. אבל מאז אני מרגיש קשר לרבי. I'm not speaking English. He said, I started reading Tanya, and from then I have a kesher to them. And lachem, over here I see a shliach, over here I see something in the newspaper, I have a leni kashur. And therefore, on such a night when I felt that everything was falling, I felt that Rebbe forgot about me. What's going on up here? That's offer. In other words, I don't know how this person had his chus, but this person read Tanya and he got it. He understood. Something that sometimes a person can learn for 30 years and doesn't understand, he picked it up. That Tanya is not a sefer. There's no such sefer called Tanya. There's no sefer called Chassidus. There's a Rebbe and Yidden. And the Rebbe is talking to Yid. And comes a Yid. That Yid is not a Shem Mitzvah in the regular way as we call it. But that Yid picks up a Tanya and he gets connected. And he feels a connection. And I just think about the logic of it. He read a sefer Tanya, so he's connected to the Rebbe. And as it's chagalik by him, with a pashtus. You understand? It's an amazing concept, an amazing story. I didn't make this up. I don't have such a good imagination.
But if he doesn't do mitzvahs, he's going to lose it.
He does do mitzvahs. He put on film.
Uh-huh.
So this is a Yid who understood, he really understood what Tanya is. He got it. You know, there's people who get it, there's people who don't get it. There's people who can read something a million times, they don't get it. There's people who read it for 5 minutes and they get it. It's such a concept, I don't know how to explain it, of getting it. This person got it. He read Tanya, he read in the Hebrew of Tanya, and he understood that there's a Rebbe. And that Rebbe, he right away understood. It's not the Alter Rebbe and the Rebbe, it's some Machlikas Hapiskim. He understood there's a Rebbe.
How do you know if he didn't get it?
He got it. He got it so well, it's amazing how he got it. Because he's a Ruchnistic person. If you know him, you'll understand why he got it. He gets everything. Yeah. It's a real thing. It's a real thing. Yeah. L'chaim, we also have to get it. We have to get that when we sit and learn a Sikha, the Rebbe, a Maimer, a Tanya, the Rebbe is talking to us. We're pashas to us. Whether it says our name on it, or it doesn't say our name on it. And we learn a Maimer and it says something, it's not somewhere, it's a nice theory that I could maybe connect to. It's a teaching. It's a teaching from a Rebbe to me. That's how Chassidus is from the beginning how it's meant to be. And maybe that's one of the meanings in this Hayom Yom. Chassidus is not, no one's lonely. The Rebbe with lonely Torah and Chassidim with lonely problems. It's one big Yechidus. The whole Chassidus is a big Yechidus. And Mela, the Rebbe's yahrzeit is our yahrzeit. The Rebbe's birthday is our birthday. It's our days. It's our special days, our special moments. We have to live with our Rabbi and celebrate with them and daven with them and learn with them. Anyways, l'chaim, l'chaim. What is your time? 7:25. You want to shake the head? You want to shake the head? But he's having a by the Arab? His father's going to be there. Was? Very nice. Okay. What's that? Eighth grade. Are you going to go into that? Yeah. On the list.
What's your name, please? What's your name, please?
Silberberg.
Silberberg?
Yeah.
I'm Silberberg.
Nice to meet
Very
you.
glad to meet you.
Likewise.
I really appreciate what you say.
Thank you.
Yeah, 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 oh, you know, yeah, da, da, da. Oh, 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 you know, yeah, da, da, da. Oh, you know, you know. Ah, yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, da, 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 oh, you know, yeah, da, 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 oh, you know. Da 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 da. Oh yeah 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 yeah. Oh.
You have to tell us prayer.
Oh, you know, oh, you know, oh, you know, yeah, you know, oh, you know, oh, you
This is a very
You give it to me, Albert. Was? Was? Da 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 ya da 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 ya ya da. Ah ya 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 da ya da ya da. Ah ya da yo ya do. Da la da ya ya da. Was? What is that? Some people are more. Chaim l'chaim.
Absolutely.
Rabbi Wolford, left l'chaim. I'm looking for some. Was macht dein Tasse? Better? How? For internet? Eretz Yisrael? For Chabad, Yeshiva? Chaim. So why did we learn it? Because we're watching a conversation of the Rebbe and his Siddur.
Some people increase faith. Whereas if some people they
I hope you're wrong.
decrease
I hope that we're not watching a conversation of the Rebbe and his Chassidim. I hear you. I trust me. I hear you very well. I think Chassidim is Makubal differently. Chassidim was Makubal that the Tanya is written for every chassid that reads Tanya. You know, the Rebbe when it comes to Tanya, I don't know. I don't want to use words that are not appropriate. The Rebbe, Tanya by the Rebbe was the Heiligkeit of Tanya was Blikul. I mean, the Rebbe handed out Tanyas to say, I have myself a few Tanyas from the Rebbe. Right? The Rebbe gave Tanya to Chassid, another 10,000, another 10,000. Why did the Rebbe have to give Tanya to a million people? What was going on? The Rebbe in Tavshin Mem Beis, which was 1982. I was all of 8 years old. I'm not trying to give away my age or anything, but for the the great mathematicians amongst us, the fact is that in 1982 I was 8, and that year Yud Aleph Nisan was a big Farbrengen because that was Shnas Ha Shmoinim. Tavshin Mem Beis was Shmoinim, Shnas Ha Shmoinim Shana. You also were there. So that year, who was here? Yud Aleph Nisan Tavshin Mem Beis by the Rebbe? Anybody? Yeah. So you remember there was a big snowstorm in New York, a very big snowstorm. Yud Aleph Nisan. And we came with my family. We came for Pesach, because we stayed for Pesach by my Baba and Zayd Alayhim Hashalom. And we came with our station wagon. Those who remember what a station wagon is. And then the Seder was, you put the seats down in the back, you put down a mattress, and so went Yom Tov. The seatbelts, who heard us, I see us. And we came, but because of the big snowstorm, we came to New York many hours later than the plan was, and we came mamish to the Farbrengen. We were supposed to come in Alf Nisan earlier. We came to the Rebbe's Farbrengen, and the Rebbe farracht for hours. I think the Farbrengen finished like 3 o'clock in the morning. And then the Rebbe started giving out Tanyas. The big reddish, brownish Tanya. You have it?
No, that was the year that he told us not to go. So the fools, we didn't go.
No, not that.
Who told you not to go?
No, that's a different year.
No, that was the year.
That was that year?
That's why he went for Pesach.
Okay, but our family went for Pesach. We were good. But the fact is, here's the sad story. I don't know why I'm saying this, but I'm not saying this because I'm loose now, so I'm saying what I say. The fact is that it was 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was standing on the bleachers on the Meirev wall. And my father came to me and he says, listen, I'm 8 years old. And we drove a whole day from Detroit, I don't know how many hours. And now we stood by the Farbrengen another 6 hours. And I says, the Rebbe's not going to give out Tanyas for a number of hours. Maybe you want to go to sleep. And I'll wake you up in the morning when you come back and get. I said, sure, great idea. My father came, woke me up 7:30 in the morning to come. It was too late. We missed. I didn't get a tent. My wife got. My wife was. We were married yet.
8 years old.
I wasn't married yet. But she happened. I know it's a long time ago, but still. So she came with her parents from Eretz Yisrael. Also, in that time when you didn't come. Well, nothing. I'm not trying to rub anything in, but she came with her parents because her mother was a Zeicha Begeirel. So she brought the whole family, and they stayed for Pesach. So she has the Tanya. In the house we have the Tanya from Tavshin Mem Beis that the Rebbe gave. She has. I didn't get. But that was Tavshin Mem Beis. Then came later Tavshin Nun. The Rebbe gave out her Tanya. Yud Shvat. Yeah, but that wasn't. The Rebbe didn't hand it. You're right. Mem Dal was Alf Nisan. That was the Kedel. That was the blue one. Tavshin Nun, the Rebbe gave out the green Tanya, Yud Shvat. Tavshin Nun Beis, the Rebbe gave out blue Tanya, Yitas Kislev. What the now? The blue one was Yudal Nun, not the Beis. Nun. Kashaf HaMais. Kashaf HaMemory. In other words, the Rebbe kept on giving out the Tanya. It's not just that. The Rebbe said something that's got to be one of the strangest things the Rebbe ever said. I'm sorry. To print a Tanya in every place in the world. To print a Tanya. I remember our Mashpia Farbrengen with us about this. Fitche Pevsner, Zangizun. Everyone wants you to print a Tanya in your heart. To print a Tanya, every place has to have its own Tanya. The Tanya of Chicago is not good enough for Lincoln. The Tanya of Lincoln is not good enough for Evanston. And Evanston is not good enough for Deerfield. Every place needs its own Tanya, its own siddhis. The Rebbe has to talk to you where you are in your house. I remember Rabbi Wolberg, your father, Shalomber's father, Farbrengen with us after we got the Tanya from the Rebbe. So the Rebbe's Farbrengen. Hello, you were there, Rabbi Shalomber. Your father was Farbrengen. He said, the Rebbe is giving you the Rebbe's Tanya. The Rebbe is giving you Tanya today. I just said it in 4 seconds. He said it in 6 hours. Right? Who could say something like Rabbi Wolberg? He could say it and say it. The Rebbe gives us Tanya. He gives us Tanya. Offer understood that when he read Perek Tanya, is going to Kusha Tzum Rebbe. Amazing thing. A person was so l'chura far. It was he got the point. It's a sefer. Tanya is a sefer. Ranat is a sefer. Mem Gimel is a sefer. Samachei is a sefer. These aren't Sforim. These are Rabbeim talking to us. The Rebbe is talking to you. And it's one Rebbe. As the Rebbe said 1,000,000 times, it's one Rebbe. It says, Memala became a legamri in his Mesif, the special Yonim of his time. And the Rebbe gives us Tanya. I don't know where I'm going. I'm talking loose. So, if we would appreciate.
Is it scary?
Nothing scary. It's all good. Anyways, till what time did you pay me to talk? Whatever it is, it's past that time, right?
7:59.
Yeah.
Shach is 9 o'clock.
Chaim.
It's been a while. Maybe together.
You grab my castle?
I don't know where your coat is.
I don't either. No, yeah, if it stays here, it's also not good. It's closer.
Right in front of the Levi.
Thank you. No. I think it might be called the people L'chaim. Someone saying L'chaim over there. Anybody? Yeah.
Some people like
What's wrong with learning that?
very scholarly.
Talking to scholars.
No, I'm trying to say that not everybody is a scholar. The thing that's written for us, it's like
Yeah, I'm a Rebbe, so.
No,
If you don't scholar, you're not a scholar. You're a scholar.
Anyway,
Be a scholar.
you're saying that when I say Ranach, I should explain what I'm talking about. That's not what you were saying. So what are you saying?
If a scholar doesn't learn, how is he supposed to?
No. No. How could I say that it's written for us if we're not scholars? We can't understand everything that it says. That's. I hear you. Well, that's a good question. That's a good question.
What's the question?
It's not. I have to answer it. It's written for everyone. Everyone has to get to it. You read the first book to get to the second, to get to the third. The third book is also written for the person that has to learn. Obviously, you don't start reading. Written for you doesn't mean that that's the first book you should read. Every minor is written for every yid. Yeah. LMI, some you have to learn A to get to B, to get to C, to get to D. You think there's some of them that are not shaykh to certain people ever?
During their lifetime?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, why not? Okay, so good the question. I don't have an answer.
They do science, but maybe not through learning. It could be that like someone else will learn it and they'll inspire you by the behavior.
Okay. I hear. So good. Let me think it over. I'll think before my next drush. I'll have to process this question. I hear you. I hear you. I hear you.
That's what he's saying.
Talk to him. Anyway, L'chaim. This is what happens when you take questions. L'chaim, Shmuel. L'chaim. Mazel tov on the new nickel. Chaim the Baron. Couldn't sleep. Chatal Teves. Okay. David. If you came here, it's a L'chaim. Pretend it's the good old days. This is Amen. Provide an entertainer and does this. Nobody else has to do anything. The entertainer has to entertain. Rav Markowitz. Meg Bettner, so sagen wir ein bisschen L'chaim. Rabbi Kagan. Alles good. Everyone is a private invitation. Okay. Sag mal Wort. The Rebbe says na yom that the greatest gatliche uftuf now the Rebbe is a Chassidim zen Nishalom and the Rebbe is Nishalom. Nobody is lonely. Chassidim aren't lonely. The Rebbe is not lonely. There's a togetherness. There's a kesher. It's not kesher. The Rebbe that's a chosek. And that's what we said over here. The Rebbe says in Tanya, B'yede makire ka'amin of Chassidus is a mensch. Chassidus has a name on it. The name is me. Chassidus has a name. A maimer has a name. A sicha has a name. A letter has a name. With Arfas Kenan, sometimes it's clearer. Sometimes a person has a moifis because he sees clearly a mamash, he needed this answer and he boom, found this thing and boom, that's it. Everyone knows Rebbe stories like that. The Ashgacha Prota is that boom, my answer, I got it in the right time. I learned the sichel and tamaimer, I said exactly what I need. Brody, someone gave a l'chaim all the way to that table. Nobody cares. So come closer. The first page. We had a mashpia, his name was Rabbi Korf. All of Hashem said, Haksach Arayin is Bekel. Was it says Levi? Anyways, I have no right to start up with you, not my Talmud. L'chaim. L'chaim, Mazel Tov. Simchas. L'chaim. So I was doing that for Rabbi Markowitz. Because you're standing there, maybe you keep Rabbi Brother L'chaim. Shemtzach a bissel kommen. Watching what? I said to say L'chaim, so you got to text to make sure you don't say L'chaim. Sag nicht! Don't listen to him. Okay. L'chaim, L'chaim. That's the bet. Sag L'chaim. That's my yom. Anyways, the Yomim says not only is Mirzayin Nishalom, but the Rebbe is Nishalom. Not only the Chura, the Chiddush Chassidus is that we're not down. We have an Rebbe that talks to us. The best thing in the world. But it says also the Rebbe is Nishalom. The Rebbe is so happy with his relationship with us. The Rebbe is nicht kein Praven on uns. The Rebbe wasn't so happy in life with himself. He met Levi Notik and Wilson Silberberg. He became happy. Baruch Hashem, he upgraded his relationships. I'm sorry, the road. I didn't mean it. It's not on the microphone. But that's as if we're Bachra. I'm sorry. I wasn't talking about you. I was talking about me. Gentlemen, we have to know like this. I want to say one thing because it's very close to my heart, and thus it is. I'm going to say it like this. Everyone knows this story, but I'm going to say it the way I experienced it. And to me, it was a very, very special moment in my life. And I'm going to say it to you And you know this. I'm not saying any chidushim to anybody. And it also happens to be, if somebody wants to, from the same hadrash, it's connected to today's chitas. It was a special day. It was Gimel Shvat Tov Shin Nun Beis. Remember? Gimel Shvat 1992 was a regular day on the calendar. Nobody knew that Gimel Shvat is a date. It's a regular day. We were working in yeshiva and Altera. We were sitting and learning. It was a regular. And it was Mincha. 3:15 was Mincha. And went to 770 and davened with the Rebbe's minyan. That was the Seder. It was normal. It was normal. The Rebbe davened every day, came from Tashon Memches. The Rebbe came every day to davening